Hello and welcome back to another episode of Plants by Jasmine. I chopped the one and the only string of bananas that I had. She was so beautiful, but she had started dying on me. I don't know if it was the soil that was dying or was old. I don't know if she was just too long or she had too much room in her pot or what, but I had to give her a pretty good chop. What I did end up figuring out is, and you can see it all here, is that she ended up being in a very large pot that was so beautiful. I got it at a Goodwill for $4. And she was hanging above my monstera here in my bedroom. And she was doing really well for a very long time. But then I started finding that the bananas on the strings were dying, which is not something that had ever happened before with her, and so I was very confused. I had repotted her in the spring of 2024 and she seemed to be doing just fine until I would say probably December of 2024, maybe even November. I started noticing that bananas were dying and strings were dying, and I was like, I don't know what is happening. I was like, maybe she needs more water. And another thing that I found was that when I did water her, the water would just immediately just pour out. So I was like, there's obviously something wrong with the soil. There's something going on. So I decided that I would start with the roots. So I undug her and found, you'll see it here, is just her root ball was intact. Her roots looked healthy, but what didn't look healthy was the amount of soil that she had to her root ball. So she needed to be a little more compact. So what I ended up doing is moving her to a very small planter pot that I got from Amazon a while back. I'll tag it in the description below, but pretty much she just needed to be constricted a little more. So that's what we did. We put her in a smaller pot. We also gave her a huge chop. And so I have all of her right here outside of her little bits that she has going on. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and we're gonna propagate. So that's what we're doing today, is we're gonna go ahead and chop up all of this and we're gonna propagate it in water, because that's what I'm good at. Every other propagation that I've had in soil has failed me miserably, and I don't even want to risk that because there's just so much of it, and I'd rather just have a lot of string of bananas than none. So if hopefully you watched the pink fern video, then you would know that Lindsay was really good at getting vintage pots and creating sustainably styled sets. So today we're gonna go with what we have because it's most sustainable, and that is Old Spice containers. So I have an organic garlic powder, a cayenne pepper container, and I also have a black peppercorn container that we're gonna use. And what makes it even better is for my lovely filtered Brita water, I put it in a maple syrup glass. So it's real great. We love it. So basically what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to take my plant shears that my wonderful parents got me. Super thankful for these. They have changed my life. I'm going to make sure I clean them up with some hydrogen peroxide before so that the cuts are clean. The cats are currently fighting right now, aggressively. So we're going to clean up our shears and then we're just going to start cutting. Guys, hey, you being rude. Maisie's looking at me like, sis, I got business to do. Stop, both of you. So anyway, I'm gonna move this down so you can see a little bit better about really what I'm doing, and hopefully this is level and you can see what's going on. So really, I've got a lot going on here. I've got some that are dying. There's nothing left, but I'm gonna try to save them anyway with the nodes that they have. So you can see that there's some really good nodes here and here. So this actually just came out of the soil, but you're gonna have to be a little bit patient. So we're gonna take our filtered water from our maple syrup bottle, and I'm just gonna fill it just a little bit so we have a place to start. And I'm gonna start chopping. So I think first what I'm gonna do is take this one that already has some roots that was in the soil and just take off some of the leaves and then just go ahead and put it in water so that some of those nodes can go ahead and start making leaves and things like that. I did chop her up yesterday because I wanted to allow where I chopped the plant up was healed by the time I started cutting it for this propagation. I know obviously this is not going to be healed once it goes into water. I do realize that. So you can see I just chopped it here. But you know, that's okay. So this has some really good nodes way up here. So I'm just gonna chop some of the leaves off and try to see if he can get in some water here. This poor guy, oh my gosh. Here's a really good node right here. See, super good node. Some of these I'm making pretty short just because I'm finding some really good nodes that I want to make sure are in water. I think I'm just gonna leave the rest of this as is. This baby's starting to fill up quite a bit. There it is. There's a lot going on. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill it the rest of the way up with water. And I'm gonna go ahead and start on the next cup here. And then there's a lot of these little tiny ones that are doing okay. I might just try to put them in some soil in the greenhouse and see if they do something. You win some, you lose some. So some of this is just thoroughly just dead. I'm gonna be completely honest. There might be some good stuff down here though. So I might try to save it. I'm gonna be honest, I can tell I'm getting older because my back is currently screaming at me, but it's fine. These bananas were so big and they were full and they were thick and I could just tell that they were thriving, but it just doesn't always work. Like I chopped it here and then it split off to two. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop it over here. So I'm just gonna take off the bananas so I can actually get to that node. I feel like I could also chop it here because you can see it's also trying to branch off, but I think I'm just gonna leave it be and just test it and see if it works. If it doesn't, then we can chop it down there and try those roots. I'm trying to keep the good from the not so good. This is also a really good thick node here. You can't really see it as well as I wish you could, but it's gonna be a great one. So I'm gonna chop really close to it, make sure it gets into some water, and then go from there. It's a pretty long one, but I think I'm gonna leave it just to see what happens. Hopefully it's not too heavy. It might be, so I'm gonna have to chop it. I think I will chop it because there's also a really good one down here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chop it so it can at least stay in the water. There's a pretty good node over here where it had branched off. You just can't really see it. So I'm gonna try to put that in water and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't grow any mold or anything like that. So I'm really gonna have to watch these since I'm chopping them right now to make sure that they don't mold. This baby is ginormous. There's so much going on. You can tell it was, well, it's all tangled right now, but it's one string, oh my gosh, that has branched off 3 separate times. This card needs to move. Gotta keep them in their sections. You stay here, you stay there. Well, that completes the journey. So we have our 3 containers of propagations from the string of bananas, and I'm just honestly super hoping and praying that this does well, because here's mama plant. Look how goofy. She's fine. She's probably gonna lose a lot of water here, but it's all fine. It's gonna be great. That's what I keep telling myself. She's gonna live, she's gonna survive, and so are her babies. So fingers crossed with me. I appreciate you guys supporting me on my journey going from a plant mom to a plant collector. The journey's slow, but we are here for it every single day. Go check out the Pink Fern plant shop tour. Lindsay is so amazing. I don't need to miss that. And thanks for watching.